All right, so today we're talking about vaginas. This is actually recorded after I went through the whole spiel, but I forgot to do a disclaimer, so I'm putting this at the beginning of the video. If you are, warning, if you are in any way, shape, or form uncomfortable with the word vagina, menstrual cycle, anything like that, just exit out, come back when you're ready. This might not be the video for you. There's nothing disgusting that's gonna be discussed here. It's literally just body parts and honest to goodness truth of what everyone goes through. There's no type of disgust that's gonna be shared here. A lot of times there's taboo around the topics of vaginas or menstrual cycles just because of the way society has framed it, where there's shame associated with it. But that's another video. That's the only thing. If you're uncomfortable with the word vaginas or menstrual, this is not your video. All right, so now we can go back to our scheduled entertainment. Hello, gorgeous, and welcome back to my channel. For those of you here for the first time, I'm Jordan, and I post weekly videos on all things beauty, health, and lifestyle. But this video, I'm focusing specifically on menstrual cups, the pros, the cons, what you need to know, as well as my personal review. Anyways, let's go ahead and jump into the pros and the cons. So we'll start with the pros. Removing those chemicals just gives me a bigger peace of mind, and honestly the reason why I started to look for alternatives during my menstrual cycle was because of this fact. I actually, over a year ago, almost about 2 years ago, I actually had to go to urgent care, and there was a lot of scares involved, and it actually had to do with me switching sanitary, I guess, accessories. And that was like my first kind of like wake up call, like, whoa, me switching, like when the doctor was talking about, like, a lot of times they contain like different chemicals or different bleaching, and sometimes your body can have an adverse, kind of reaction to that. I was kind of like, whoa, that's a little bit much. Even though I knew it, I never thought of it personally affecting me. But since switching, one of the side effects that I didn't expect to receive from this is I no longer have cramping. Like when I have cramps, they're very, very light. My period lasts shorter, like my menstrual cycle is just shorter, as well as it is not as heavy. One of the things that I just accepted that I was always gonna have like pains associated or heavy cramping associated with my menstrual cycle. But since switching, that has alleviated pretty much completely. One of the other pros is it's very comfortable. It's actually more comfortable to me than when I was using tampons. With tampons, I thought that was almost as good as not having a period, because it's like, oh, at least you can still do normal activities and not feel so kind of gross, like the way pads kind of make you feel sometimes. But with the cup, it's literally, I don't feel anything. It's like it just forms to your vagina, like it just forms to it. So it's like you don't feel anything. There's no discomfort. There's no string when you're using the restroom. There's none of that. And it's also makes you feel kind of more sanitary. Like it's just a cleaner situation all the way around. It's kind of like, the menstrual never happens because it's all caught. It's kind of what it feels like. Of course, I'll get into why I prefer the Blossom Cup over the Diva Cup, but that basically is more so finding the fit and how your cervix basically sits as to what cup you may find more comfortable. Of course, you're saving money. So if you just do the price comparison between a Blossom Cup and a box of tampons, literally 2 boxes of tampons cost you more than a Blossom Cup. And the Blossom Cup you can use for over a year. Not only that, you're eliminating waste, like you're just less wasteful. It's better for the environment. These are more so global things that don't necessarily immediately directly affect you, but in the long run can. I feel convenience. For me, like the fact that I don't have to think about changing my cup out, it's just easier. Like they can stay in for about 12 hours. For me, it's more around like the 10-hour mark, 9-10 hour mark, where I have to switch out. And when I say that, I mean more so on like your heavier flow days and your lighter flow days. Of course, 12 hours, that's great. Another question I get asked is like, can you sleep in it? Yes, I sleep with the cup with no issues. On heavier days, I do wear backup lining. organic, of course, or my cloth pads. But yeah, so there's no issues with that. It's very comfortable. Now that we've gone over some of the pros, I want to go into some of the cons. Some of the cons that I found, my number one con had to be the learning curve. There's going to be a learning curve associated with this. Just like when I switched from pads to tampons, there was a learning curve. The same is true. Anytime there's change, you know, you might get frustrated. I was frustrated. Actually, my first time I inserted it perfectly. I didn't know what I did, but it somehow worked out. Second time, I was not so lucky. Thankfully, I was at home when I tried this, but I had a leak. That's something that if you're out in public, that's embarrassing. That's not something you want. So definitely I would say while you're learning, make sure you have backup reinforcement there if you're gonna be out in public, or try to choose a time when you know you're gonna be at home. For some, another con could be having to familiarize yourself with your own body. Some people that gives them discomfort. For myself personally, it was a pro. Let me just show the cup. Like when you're inserting this, there's gonna be, you're gonna touch a little bit of your vagina sometimes. And that's okay, it's your vagina. For me, I can't tell other people what's okay for them. But for me, I mean, it's kind of weird when you don't even, like someone else has the potential of knowing more about your body than you do. You know what I mean? So for me, that's what I mean by a con, is more so if you're hesitant on learning your body. As far as for it being messy, it's actually not messy like that. Like the way I thought it was messy, it's not at all. When you use it, you'll get what I mean, but it's actually super easy. It's not disgusting or nasty. And honestly, when you're going back and forth with the cup, you're not touching any blood because it's all caught here. You just have to make sure you're holding this and pulling it out right, and then dump it out type of situation. And then you do rinse it out, but it's not messy like all over the place. Like I remember a friend of mine was like, oh, I've heard it's like a murder scene. Never been on a murder scene, but on top of that, no, I'm squeamish when it comes to blood. I can't even look at having blood drawn. Like that's the level I'm at. This is not like that at all. Like not the way you're thinking of it. But I will say that it is something where you will touch your vagina at some point during this process, if not regularly. So pro, con, you be the deciding factor on that one. All right, so now that we've gone over the pros and the cons, I will talk about the menstrual cups that I personally use. I've purchased both the Diva Cup, which is probably the most well-known one. It's pretty much like the oldest Diva Cup that's been here for decades. And then the Blossom Cup, which was, this fit perfectly. When I say this was like shaped to my, like this was perfect. And this one's actually shorter, not as long. There is literally there's no discomfort with the Diva Cup, but I knew the Diva Cup was in me. This, I don't know anything's inside of me. Plus it's cheaper. So I'm like, if it's cheaper, how much even better? Like what, that's even better. So that's why I prefer menstrual cups. You'll see so many reviews. Like I think the Blossom Cup has maybe over 3,000, 4,000 reviews. I'll leave a link to both in my description box. And a lot of them were saying they love it more than the Diva Cup. But I don't want to tell you that that's going to be what's better for you. I honestly think it has to do with the way your vagina is just shaped, made. But basically, this is what the menstrual cup looks like. As far as what does the menstrual cup actually look like, this is it. And you're probably like, how do you shove that in there? This is kind of big. And I mean, it's actually not really that big when you think about how your vagina just forms through to stuff, you know? But I'll basically show kind of like a little demo of how I found was the easiest way for me. So basically I pinch this together and I pinch it like that to make like a U, and pretty much I push it, if this is the hole, I'm like pushing it in. Once it's like that, it's still going to, let me try to focus it on there. Once it's like that, it's still going to essentially be like that. What I do is I turn it, and once you turn it, you can't see it, but it popped open on this side, and that's basically what you want. You want it open, suction. I do a little tug to make sure it is. like, you know, that the suction's there, and then bam, you're good. And honestly, this isn't protruding out the way it's made. It's more so like this. Now, when taking it out, what I do is, this is what I mean by you're gonna touch a little bit of the vagina right there. Bam, you got it. There's no blood or anything that's on here, honestly, because everything's caught inside here. So it's really just touching your vagina, holding it, pulling it, secure, boop, 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 boop. And then this is when it's the rinse out clean part, which some people are talking about. You pretty much dumped everything out. It's really residue. How you clean this, one, if you're in a public space, just wipe this off. It's not anything crazy. Just wipe it off with tissue, whatever makes you most comfortable. I personally like to deep clean these. They say you only have to deep clean between cycles. I have a backup cup, so for me, I kind of go back and forth on how I clean it. Basically, you boil water, you pour it in a container, any type of non-scented soap that's not gonna cause irritation. I personally like Dove. I just put that in there and plop it. And I'll even show you guys, because this might be helpful for some, what I use. This is, I bought this online as well through Amazon, and it's like a pop-out container, and it's just there. I boil some water, pour it in there with the non-scented soap, let it soak in there for a little bit. Like, when I say a little bit, sometimes I can do this overnight, sometimes just a few hours, like 2-3 hours, and bam, you're good to go. So that's like the maintenance or cleaning. I think those are some items that aren't talked about on the videos that would have been helpful for me, so that's why I'm sharing. Well, that was a lot of talking about vaginas. Hopefully this was informative. Honestly, the purpose of this video is to educate. A lot of times we have these questions, and you know, it's just uncomfortable, especially when you're talking about menstrual cycles. Society has just made it in a way where there's some shame associated with it, or some type of discomfort, some type of disgust, but there's nothing disgusting about how your body works. And honestly, like, I hope this was informative for some of you who had questions about it. If you're not quite ready to try a menstrual cup, no worries. I wasn't either. I went from organic tampons to cloth pads to this, you know, so I completely get the hesitation. Now that I'm on the other side, it's completely easy for me to say, oh, it's nothing, you know. But I will be doing a separate video on all other methods of, you know, chemical-free options for your menstrual cycle. The only reason I chose to do this video is because I know the menstrual cup is my preferred method. So I wanted to share that, you know, information first to hopefully kind of save you guys some time on searching for a perfect product. Well, I hope that was helpful. If you have any questions or comments, leave them in the comment section below. I will reply. If there was something I didn't answer, I'd be happy to answer it, as well as let me know if you've tried the menstrual cup or if you've tried an alternate method that you prefer, and you know, let's have a conversation about it. I hope this is an open, safe place. Anyways, love, live, laugh, God bless always, and see you guys in the next one. Deuces.